Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
In Exodus chapter 40, we read how God instructed Moses to set up the tent. God himself gave the plan to Moses. He told him how the tabernacle should be set up, which should be set up first, and then which one should be set up next. For example, if you read verse 2, God told Moses, "Set up the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, on the first day of the first month. Place the ark of the covenant law in it and shield the ark with the curtain." Like always, Moses followed God's instructions. Verse 16 and 17 says, Moses did everything just as the Lord commanded him. So the tabernacle was set up on the first day of the first month in the second year. And verse 33 tells us that Moses finished the work. Now after the tabernacle was set up, an unimaginable thing happened. We do not know if Moses was told if this would happen, but verse 34 tells us that after the tabernacle was completed, the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Friends, this cloud was not an ordinary cloud, but it was the very glory of the Lord. So even Moses could not enter inside the tabernacle. This cloud told Moses and all Israel that this was not a tent set up by Moses or by Israel, but it was the Lord's tent. The people of Israel may have donated gold, silver, and precious stones for the construction of the temple, but this tabernacle was not theirs. Now it belonged to the Lord. Moreover, since even Moses could not enter the cloud, it all the more proved that God himself had come. Therefore, Israel has to honor this tent as the Lord's tent, even though it was built by them and set up by Moses. We also read here that Israel cannot dismantle this tent whenever they liked. They cannot move this tent whenever they wanted. Verse 36 and 37 tells us that in all the travels of the Israelites, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle, they would set out. But if the cloud did not lift, they did not set out until the day it lifted. You see, the Lord was in charge of this tent. The Israelites had to merely follow God's instructions. Also, verse 38 tells us that the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, and fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the Israelites during all their travels. This cloud made the people of Israel honor the Lord and honor his residence. Friends, today in the New Testament times, as 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 6 says, the glory of God is in the face of Jesus our Lord. So, New Testament believers honor Jesus Christ. And not only that, believers honor Christ more than any other servant of God, pastor or leader. Just as Israel found out that the God who came on the tent that day was more honorable than Moses himself, today believers need to honor Christ more than anybody else. That is why Paul the Apostle said to the Corinthian church believers in 1 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 1, "This then is how you ought to regard us, as servants of Christ and as those entrusted with the mysteries God has revealed." Friends, Paul was the one who founded the church at Corinth, but he did not want anyone to boast about him, but only about Christ. Friends, whenever and wherever Christ is exalted today, he will be there, even if there are only 2 or 3 gathered in his name. Believers can experience the glory of the Lord when they give the prominent place to the Lord and not to any other man.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.